When pricing your product for the first time, as a new brand, as a new designer, or even a new product or category that you're launching, what would you say you should do first? Figure out the cost of your product, how much your product is going to cost, or figuring out your target retail price point. It's a tricky question because logically it makes sense to figure out what the cost of the product is going to be. So you can then decide on your pricing strategy and make sure that your product can be profitable, right? But the tricky part is when you're new to the industry, when you're not yet familiar of how production works, the cost of production, the cost of certain details, you're not yet familiar of how to drive costs down when it comes to production, then a scenario that can happen is that you can find yourself going and designing, developing a product that is perfect, exactly how you wanted it. All the bells and whistles are there. Everything is just how you imagined it. But then you get your production prices from your factory, and you realize that in order for you to be profitable with making that product, your retail price point needs to be a lot higher, or you're not going to make money, right? Have you ever had that situation? I've seen it so many times. So my recommendation to you and to any designer, young designer, small startup brand that I've ever worked with is to first figure out what would you like your target retail price point to be. Because here's the scenario that will help you avoid what I just described. And the way to go about it is to figure out first who is your target customer. Really get to know them. Get to understand how much they are currently paying on similar product to what you're offering. Understand your market space, where you're going to be positioned in the market, and who are the competitors that your customer is currently buying from. Because the price that they are selling their product is probably the price range that you're going to need to be around. Once you have that data, you can analyze all that, put in the value of your product or certain things that you think that only your brand is able to offer. And based on all of that, create your ideal target price point. Once you have your ideal target price point, what you want to do is you want to get clear on how you're going to sell your product. Meaning, are you going to sell it direct to customer, or are you going to sell it through other retailers? Because the two scenarios will create two different pricing strategies. So once you have an ideal target customer in mind, now you have an ideal target retail price in mind, and you know how you're going to sell your product. Here comes the trick. You want to work backwards from there to understand how much this product should cost you. Because now that you have an understanding of how much you can spend on making a product in order to be profitable, you can work this way and choose fabrics, materials, any raw materials that will fit into this price point. Choose finishings, design details, way of production that will fit that price point. So when you get your final production prices from your factory, it's not a surprise, it's not a shock, and you know that you can make profit out of your product.